back and forth on that. Hope everyone is okay with that. Mr. Shumway, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate you reconsidering. First, let me start off by saying that I respect everyone on the dais and everyone here in this room. I don't want to be in a position where it's me against you all, or that it feels like it's us against them, and that's not the intention. Chief Conley, my comments are not an indictment on all officers or officers. But I feel in my heart this was something that had to be said, because these are sentiments from people of my community. Pastor Arnolfo spoke earlier and prayed earlier for us about unity. And my question is, how can we have unity if what I feel and when I hurt, you don't feel and you don't hurt? How can we have unity if the things that concern me and my community don't concern you and your community? We also gave a proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Never do you hear people go into a cancer ward and say, hey, stop. All cancers matter. We don't. We understand that. This month is to highlight breast cancer. When we say Black Lives Matter, it's not to say that yours don't, but we are highlighting systemic issues of oppression that have plagued this country for hundreds of years. I want to read my proclamation. I didn't write this alone. Some of the people that spoke helped me write it. Black, white, Asian, men, women. Who do I tell my children to call when 911 is killing my people? Who? Black state of emergency in Texas. Proclamation of a black state of emergency. Whereas it is the sentiments of my community, the state of Texas and its local governments have demonstrated a pattern of practice of discriminatory and biased conduct by and through its law enforcement officers and officials, which deprives Black and brown citizens of rights protected under the Constitution and laws of the United States. Whereas the state of Texas and its local governments have declared war on Black and brown citizens by conspiring to kill, injure, oppress, threaten, and intimidate, and to willfully deprive citizens of their constitutional rights while acting under the color of law. Whereas the state of Texas and its local governments harass and prosecute its minority citizens, both in daily interactions and as a punishment for speaking out against said institutions. Whereas the Texas Rangers have demonstrated a clear bias and lack of integrity in its handling of law enforcement officer misconduct. Whereas most recently, in the city of Fort Worth, law enforcement without provocation, justification, or warning, without adherence to protocol, without proper identification and announcement of their presence, murdered a woman of color, a Tatiana Jefferson, in her home. Whereas recently in the city of Dallas, law enforcement without provocation, justification, or proper warning, without adherence to protocol, without proper identification and announcement of their presence, murdered a man of color, Botham John, in his home. Whereas both perpetrators in aforementioned murders, Aaron Dean and Amber Geiger, were shielded from arrest and standard procedure as applied to any other criminal suspect with a similar preponderance of evidence attesting their guilt. Whereas McKinney has enjoyed the distinction of being recognized as the safest city in Texas of its size this year, McKinney is not exempt from these atrocities, and the similarities are eerie. Whereas in 2001, McKinney officer Joyce Vandertuin, without provocation, justification, or warning, without adherence to protocol, without proper identification and announcement of their presence, murdered a woman of color, Kathy Jo Howard Kalima, in her home in McKinney. Whereas in 2015, McKinney officer Eric Casebo targeted and assaulted a group of black and brown children. Whereas Clinton Allen, Santos Rodriguez, Jermaine Darden, Jason Harrison, Tony Tempa, Carlos High Sr., James Harper, Genevieve Dawes, Jordan Edwards, Christian Taylor, Sandra Bland, Ruben Garcia, Tavis Crane, Bertrand Davis, Kerry Bradley, Brandon Washington, Pamela Turner, and numerous others all had their lives taken by the hands of those who are sworn and paid to protect them. Whereas in 2015, studies showed that the DFW region ranked third in the nation for rate of fatal police shootings. U.S. studies also showed that 1 in every 1,000 black men will die at the hands of law enforcement, compared to only 39 of every 100,000 white men. Now, therefore, we, the citizens of Texas, declare a black state of emergency to exist in the state of Texas, bearing especially on black and brown citizens living in or traveling through Texas. Wherefore, we, the citizens of Texas, hereby demand that the Texas legislature, 1, update Texas use of force laws to assure that peace officers avoid using deadly force at every possible opportunity. 2, require additional training for all law enforcement officers, including de-escalation training. 3, establish the Racial and Identity Profiling Advisory Board, RIPA, and require each state and local agency to report data on all stops conducted by officers that includes demographic and circumstantial information related to the stop. 4, require an annual report from law enforcement agencies detailing the use of force injuries and homicides with specific demographic and circumstantial information to the state and federal Department of Justice. And last, establish an external investigation process exclusive of the Texas Rangers for all other misconduct cases involving allegations of racial profiling, assault, sexual assault, and homicide. It is incumbent upon all elected officials, staff, clergy, organizations, and citizens to fight to protect our rights and to make and maintain the safety of our cities. It is not just our duty to fight, it is our duty to win. We are demanding Texas lawmakers ensure that every resident of Texas can enjoy the rights protected under the U.S. Constitution and can live in safety, free from the threat of police misconduct. Signed, we, the black citizens of the state of Texas. We just want to live. I thought that we could come here tonight and all agree that eating ice cream in your home should not end in death. I thought that we could come here tonight and that my peers would understand that leaving your door unlocked so that you can catch the October breeze of the Texas weather should not end in death. Playing video games with your nephew late at night should not end in death. I thought that we could all agree that Black Lives Matter enough to agree on that. It seems that we can give proclamations about doing well in sports and all kinds of other things, but when it comes to talking about black lives, it has to be a contentious issue. Can we live? Thank you.
Councilman Franklin.